we have to have that work-life balance. When Courtney says I'm going to the beach, she's going to the beach. When Courtney's dad's coming up, she's doing an open house. So, but you have to have that balance. And I mean, it can be a very rewarding business, provided you don't let yourself get burnt out on it.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Happy Agent Podcast. This is your host, Jeff Beggins, and we've got a cast of characters with us today. My co-host brother, first of all, on the end there.
Hello, Craig Beggins here.
And then our pseudo stepbrother, redheaded stepchild, whatever we're calling you today.
I've been called worse. Like Suma.
And today we're mixing it up. We actually have two agents with us today, and you'll see why in just a moment. We've got Randy Schuster and we have Courtney Cody that are both working our Gulf Beach offices, Indian Rocks Beach offices here. And I think it's going to be really fun to watch how the different dynamics play together and how you see how they were attracted together from a business perspective to help grow and team, but not team, and kind of things are working out pretty well between us. We're going to kind of watch the dynamics on that one. So let's do a quick introductory, simple little bio. Let's start with you, Courtney. So bring us back to New Jersey. And how in the world did you end up being a beach babe down here, crushing it as a top agent selling real estate? So welcome to the podcast.
I'm here because hi, my name is Courtney. I'm here because my husband is in the Coast Guard. He is stationed in Clearwater Beach. And that is my sole purpose for really being here. I come from a fashion background. And when I came down here, I got hired as Dillard's as a manager, and it just didn't give me the time that I really wanted with my husband. So that's how I made my way into real estate.
How many years ago was that?
That was 3 years ago.
Come a long way in 3 years.
I have.
So sitting at Dillard's, hating the schedules, where did real estate pop in as a good idea? Like, what was the catalyst into that?
So I landed it was my absolute dream job at Dillard's, and I quit, I think it was 48 hours later. I was just in there and I felt like I was in a cage. And I called my dad, and my dad was like, so quit. And that's what I did. I quit. I ended up working on a beer cart, and that's where I met Randy.
Now it all comes together.
Yeah.
That adds up.
I was working at a golf course. I wasn't there very long either, just to get out of the house. But I was in the midst of taking my real estate course. And I actually saw Randy's car had Century 21 all over it. So I kind of stalked his car for a little bit until I saw him. And that's how I made my way to Beggins.
I love it. She was probably wondering if the guy could still drive after pounding down all those beers on the golf course.
I was only driving right.
I love it. No, that's a great story. But what about real estate was intriguing from the outside perspective before you got in that made you think, this is an option for me?
Yeah, so I grew up in a real estate family back in New Jersey. My grandfather actually helped develop and sell most of Atlantic City. I still have a lot of family that work in real estate, but I took a fashion route. So I was in it, but I wasn't ever working in it, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
So when I came down here, the salaries were a lot different. And my whole thing with moving down here is I wanted to spend time with my husband and be outside because we were in Florida in this gorgeous place. So I didn't want to be stuck in an office in Dillard's. It just, like I said, I felt like I was in a cage. There was I couldn't breathe.
I remember that. When first came in. All right, good. So enter the story, Mr. Randy Schuster, and bring us back to before you're lounging around on the golf courses. What's going on in Indiana, and what was the journey to bring you here to the beaches?
Basically, I got remarried in 2000. I had been running a CNC machine and engineering company. I was part owner in that for quite a few years. And I want to say it was 2013. I'd been on the 5-year plan to retire for about 13 years. And my wife and I finally decided, look, you're going to do this. So I gave notice, and I gave my partners a year. Told them I'm out of here. My wife and I are going to move to the beach in Florida. And so we started doing some looking, and believe it or not, we were at Ricky T's one morning, asked about a real estate agent. found a real estate agent. Didn't think we were going to find what we wanted. We were just looking for a little townhouse or something on the water. Ended up finding a little beach condo here in IRB that we just fell in love with the beach. The condo was basically crap. Went ahead, purchased it, and 6 months later we bought it. Or moved down here actually 6 months later, and I sold out of my company up north, and both of us moved to Florida completely unemployed to live our dream on the beach. So
I wonder how many people are thinking that same way right now with COVID.
right, yeah. And that was the thing was, we were pretty sure we were going to be living our dream, and 4 years later, we sold our condo on the beach and we're back in a house, and that's our dream now. So, the dreams change, but the real estate side of me, I really had no idea when I moved down here. I thought about selling tooling or selling steel or going back to work as a welder. Something I've always enjoyed. But then real estate kind of intrigued me a little bit because I bought and sold a lot of real estate, and it didn't have to be hard as people made it, It seemed like it was just more difficult than what it needed to be. So that's when I decided to do that. And the weird part was Elizabeth, my wife, was actually working over in Fort Lauderdale for the first 8 months we were here. So kind of, me sitting at home studying real estate while she's out working was kind of a little bit different, but, had the wherewithal to stick with it and get my license, and found you guys. And I interviewed with Jeff one night, and I guess it was an interview. I was breathing. He said, "You're hired."
The mirror fogged up. No, what I thought was really interesting about Randy was, and still is the engineering mindset that comes into this. And I remember you talking about remember you said in the beginning, it doesn't have to be this difficult, and bringing a systematized methodology into this business of saying, okay, let's streamline this thing. This is a process. Right. And it's not hard. You go from here to here, and there's a few dots in between. And that's why I think it was so simple for you to grasp, right? This is a simple concept. And the difference was attracting and doing all of the lead gen was out. But once you get to the people, it was a simple flow to go through. So that's why I knew it was going to be a nice transition for you. And then when you got into the business, let's kind of follow the paths here. Rather than do it completely alone, you saw the advantages of kind of teaming up and kind of sharing strengths and weaknesses and playing around. So follow your real estate journey. Once now you have this license, how did it evolve for you? And then we'll follow that path to where Courtney enters the equation.
Probably the first 2 months or so, I found myself getting ready to get ready. I came to all the meetings and was drinking the Kool-Aid, and I didn't know. I just didn't think I was ready. I didn't understand it enough. And finally, it was through your pushing. I finally went out and was knocking on doors. I didn't die. I was getting some rejection, but it wasn't bad. I did end up getting one that was probably the worst I ever had, which looking back, it just made me laugh. But I found an expired listing and made contact. The people were in Ohio. They'd never met me. I still to this day have never met them. But they trusted me. I sold their condo, ended up double-siding my first deal. And then I found another for sale by owner, actually got that listing because I came to his door. Multiple people called him, but I showed up at his door. So I got that, and that's when I kind of thought I might need a little bit of help. So I teamed up with Bob Dean.
Well, let's pause the story right there for a while. I think this is important just to note. From a personality standpoint, we all have our DNA, right? We all have our makeup. And talk about being outside of a comfort zone of what you've had to do before was what we're doing now, right? You're banging on doors in Florida, talking to strangers to get things was never kind of a thought process, and not your favorite thing in the world to do, right? Even though you did it and you got successes. So then we were started talking about, like, you've got to generate the business. Somebody's got to talk to people. And so there's another agent inside the office, and then pick up the story. But I wanted just for the viewers, I want you to understand everything's perfect, right? There's nothing that Randy should have been doing differently. He had the self-awareness to know that maybe something else might help take him to a different level. So I'll unpause the story and continue into the Bob stuff. Bob side.
Sure. I mean, when I was in Indiana, when I was running the shop, I didn't have a lot of interaction day to day with our clients. I ran the shop. I had 35 employees. We ran 3 shifts, sometimes 7 days a week. I didn't have to talk to the customers unless something was wrong. So I got to deal with my numbers and look at the machines and write programs and help with tooling and, troubleshoot. And then now I find myself where the only way I'm going to get a paycheck is if I go out and I talk to people. And it was weird for me because, I was raised and, we talk so much about tribes. My tribe didn't bother people. You didn't go knock on the neighbor's door just because you wanted to know who they were. You went and you moved down the street. So when I got here, and I was a little concerned because when I first started, I was seeing the way some people were, not realizing the difference between D's and I's and S's and C's. And thought, wow, I don't know if I can do this because, there's people out there that are just, they walk into a room and think everybody's there for them. I walk in and look for the chair in the corner. Not because I'm antisocial, it's don't need that out of people. So, when I looked at the company, after I had started, it was like I only saw one person in a company of 400 people that was like me, and he owned the damn thing. So, here I'm trying to, I tell people I suck at sales. I really do. But if I can trust me and they let me work for them, I'll work for them. Courtney can light up a room with conversation and people love her. For me, they look at me and they're like, okay, what's wrong with the house? And it's a large part of me. I'm going to tell them what's wrong. I have told people I will not sell you this house. If you want to buy a house, you will buy it from someone else. Enter my partner, who would sell that to anybody. Not faulting him at all. That's his personality. And Bob is one of those people you love or you hate. And there's really no middle of the road with him. And most of the people we dealt with loved him. We had a few where, and this is where the team thing really worked out was, I might have been a little too logical. So I'd turn him, Bob would work with him. He might have been a little too left field. He'd turn him over and I'd work with him. And, Courtney and I have that same relationship. It's not quite as drastic, but, it was a big thing to start working with Bob. And, we worked together for a couple of years and we did a lot of deals. And then we just kind of, separated. Still like him, still respect him. Just we're not working together anymore. So.
And I think that's an important part here too, because a lot of people, when they evaluate teams, no teams, I mean, we joke about this a lot, but the only thing I can tell you for sure about a team is that they're not going to remain, right? If you just look at past history, few and far between people prove it wrong. But for the vast majority of it, use it for what it is for when it's there and what you need it for. Like for you teaming with Bob was, I think, looking back, a phenomenal idea. I mean, that stretched you in many, many ways. That brought in a lot of business that never would have come in. It helped him. It helped you. And you guys, it was a great move to not officially, like
right.
You guys did officially team, but just team up and build his strengths and your strengths and combine them. And, he's not the best in the world of paperwork. You're not going to let anything slip through the cracks. You don't really want to go into the room and bullshit with everybody. He lives for that. So he'd bring him in, you'd sort it out, and it just kind of played itself well. So for those watching, if you find yourself being a little bit like Randy, celebrate it, appreciate it, enjoy it, love it, hug it, right? Kiss it, just own it, and just appreciate and have the self-awareness to know that that's what you are and it's perfect. But if you need somebody to help you do that, and we've had several agents on these podcasts already, they take accountability partners in that helps them with people that actually go prospect with them, hold them accountable, go set times to do things. And even if you don't officially team, get somebody to be your inspiration or accountability partner, or just balance out your weaknesses and just know when you have a super analytical client and you're not analytical, bring in an analytical. If you got a way over the chart left field person that's so overbearing and it drives you crazy, bring in somebody to deal with him. Right? That's the beautiful part about this business is we have the luxury to pick and choose who we work with and how we work with them. So I want to just applaud the fact of the self-awareness, knowing about what you did and why you did it. And then, it got you to a point. It wasn't needed really anymore from either of you. So there you sit. And Courtney was brand new into this business at this stage. And Courtney actually joined the team with you guys in the very beginning, didn't she?
Yeah.
It little trifecta there.
All three of us for a little while.
Jeff, I
Which
want to
was-
comment on that though, because there's a lack of a scarcity mentality that's kind of necessary. And you and I know it to be true. This is the Happy Aging Podcast. You should be doing things to make you happy. If you're an analytical and a high I drives you crazy, you don't have to work with a high I.
Right.
Right? But you can't be attached to the outcome. There can't be a scarcity mentality. If you're going to give it away, it means you're not going to have anything back. No, you're going to attract what you want by looking for what you want and being who you are. Right. So I think it's a big deal for both of them to say, hey, this is not scarce. I'm not giving something away. I'm just making myself happy, and then I'm going to do what makes me happy.
That's right.
I think a lot of agents don't have the scarcity mentality, and they're not willing to let things go. And as a result, they're unhappy.
And I think another thing Randy brought up too, I think is really worth re-mentioning, is the tribe factor. When you watching whatever office you're in, whatever company you're in, wherever you happen to be, look around you and you're going to find a whole bunch of different personalities, man. That's what makes this exciting. And I bet you there's somebody that completely opposite your personality that maybe it might make sense to work with. Not officially have to team, but you can just kind of bring them together and at least have them in your toolbox to know that when you have somebody like this, you could bring in Shirley, or you could bring in Bobby, you could bring in Dawn, whatever it may be in your office to kind of help you. And ultimately, it gives the client the best experience in the world. Because if you have a super over flamboyant client, right? Randy, you can do it. I've seen you work a crowd like you wouldn't believe, but it's not what you enjoy to do, right? It's not your best thing in the world. So for Randy, he could fake it and do it and make it okay. But it's a lot easier to say, let me introduce you to Bob. And then Randy can go play golf and Bob will just keep running like the Energizer Bunny. And those guys would have a better experience dealing with a Bob than a faking it Randy. You guys get that? So it's the self-awareness to not be attached, to Craig's point, to say, hey, I'm happy to split this deal because that person's going to have a better experience. And then ultimately they're going to repeat, refer, and bring you business back too. So I just want to repeat that aspect there. So here's Courtney. She sees Randy drinking beer, playing golf, joins the business, and then
The decorated car.
I literally stalked him.
well, to Craig, we joke that, but that is important. If you're not branding yourself, you're missing the boat, right? You're missing the boat, because was that a sale from Randy's perspective? Probably one of the best sales he's ever made, because he attracted.
That's the only business he's ever gotten from his decals.
Yeah, exactly.
You never know, but look what it attracted. Many, 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 many deals and an exponential growth to your lifestyle and business, because you actually promoted the fact that you're in the business. So if we're not wearing the logos, if you don't have it on your car, you don't have the license plate and the name tag, you guys do it, because you never know what opportunity is going to be around. The last thing Randy thought when he was smacking around balls, right, it was that he was going to end up finding a new partner for his team that was going to end up carrying him and helping him just produce a lot of real estate. So take advantage of the little things. So here's Courtney, real estate family, New Jersey background, lands on the beach, and she's surrounded by Bob and Randy. That's got to be a surreal experience for you, Courtney.
I think in terms of, so Randy and I couldn't be more opposite. And I mean, same thing with Bob and I. Bob and I can both BS and talk with people, but as far as like salesman, I'm not a salesman. For me, it's like, do you want to buy it or you don't want to buy it? I'm not going to talk you into it and whatnot. So I was kind of working with these two people that I was just polar opposite of. So I don't know.
And that comes out Jersey accent. You want to buy it? You don't want to buy it.
Forget about it.
That's how it is for me. I'm not like, I'm never going to talk you into it. You know, if you don't like it, that's fine. I'll move on to the next one.
Without judgment or pushing. So I think what I like is watching the evolution of people, the awareness of what real estate truly is. And it's not sales, right? It's not sales.
It's not sales at all. Mm-mm.
It's connecting with people, building trust, because they're going to buy a house, right? And why do they buy a house? Because they feel comfortable in a home, right? And why do they feel comfortable in a home? Because it emotionally reminds them of something or creates a feeling that they like, and then they want it. And then it happens to bring it to them. And you're there as the reassurance, trust factor to help them validate the decision that they want to make, right? And there's no sales involved with that, except you're there. And Randy, to your point, you could say, I don't think you should buy this house because of the termites in the rafters. And I know it may not seem like a big deal, but it is. Right. And so you come with that aspect, and Courtney's like, whatever, I don't care. You don't want this one? There's 6 more. Let's go. Right. But it's trust, and you're never pushing. Neither one of you are going to push anybody to do anything, because the salesman, that went out in the 80s, right? Some people just forgot that point and didn't let them be there. But this is just trust is the currency of the future. And you guys do a great job. Your testimonials are off the chart from all of you, both of you doing what you're doing right there. So you're in the business now. Randy, how did you integrate Courtney in to the business and kind of bring her in from a team perspective and help her get started?
I think really in the beginning, we had a couple of deals with some, not even a couple of deals. We had a couple of clients that it was, hey, they're looking, let's throw you right in. And I think the first few times we went out together, my biggest thing was, to get Courtney to look at the electrical panel, the AC, the water heater, look at the system. Let's find, and the reason I do that is let's find out if we're going to have problems in the beginning. You walk in and the AC is 32 years old, there's going to be an issue somewhere. So, we went out, we spoke with some clients. I mean, Courtney was awesome with people, and really, other than just saying, okay, this is your deal, which Bob agreed to, and we set her up. And I don't even remember how many, our thing was let's put this in your name. Let's get you to your amount of deals that need to be done, get you to where you can, be comfortable in the business. You're getting a good check. And, she handled the clients well. And it was just off to the races. I mean, she was a natural at what she was doing. So
what it really was is we're going to shove forward 5 deals in your name, Courtney, to get you out of purgatory 50-50 split, so we can bring you back up and start making some more money. So, but I'm okay with that because we know that was going on, because it's all part of the game.
Well, yeah.
I remember sitting on open houses for them in the beginning, because I truly do really enjoy open houses. And I also I get clients that way as well.
And it was great.
I think that balance, though, is really what we were alluding to earlier, but it carried through with you too. You brought, and you still do to Randy, but you bring an interesting balance to this team, right? Because you got 2 older men who really don't, use social the way that they should. Bob was a little bit more than Randy, right? But you now come in, you're younger, you're implementing some business tactics that they typically would not care to use. And so now you balance them with that. You like to sit in an open house. I don't see Randy waking up in the morning and be like, man, I can't wait to go talk to people sitting in an open house. So you bring that component, and that's really the key to you guys working as a team, is that there's this complete balance between your skill set and what you enjoy doing, and Randy's skill set and what he enjoys doing. And that balance is really what's allowing you guys to have the success that you're having.
Yeah, I mean, we are truly really polar opposite.
That works out well. Now, Courtney, let's talk about how you were able to, being a Coastie wife, right, in the Coast Guard here. And I know one of the things that's been a good thing, we were very pleased to have you on the team, getting some of the military reload business and things that we get as well. But outside of that, from the USA and those type of deals too, you've been able to really infiltrate into your tribe, which is a tribe really is just a group of people that trust you, right? So you kind of go straight into the Coastie world with trust because you're one of them. How did you tap into that? How did you start letting people know that you are actually a serious business person that should be consulted in the largest financial transaction in their life? How did you make that jump?
So it really started, if we start from the beginning, I've been through a military move. I know the acronyms when people are speaking. I don't have to say, what are you talking about, or anything like that. But I really started at my husband's station. A few of our friends bought from us in the beginning. And then it was really just word of mouth, because there are 3 Coast Guard bases around here. I think there's around 900 Coast Guard personnel in the area. So now it's just word of mouth, where I've done so many transactions. I think I've probably sold or buyer or seller at my husband's station, almost everybody in there. But then that went to Station St. Pete and Air Station Clearwater. So along with the USA and the Navy Federal, I'm kind of like the VA queen. I mean, VA is mostly what my business is. But I think more than anything, I can relate. I know what being through a military move is like, and a lot of people don't.
I think that really sums a lot of it up, though, because that's where we talk about niching down and finding a tribe. I mean, they like you, they trust you. There's no reason not to, and you're good at what you do, right? Those are the three questions we always talk about. Can I trust you? Are you good at what you do, and do you care about me? So they can trust you, and they know you care about them. And then now, when in the very beginning you didn't really understand all of the real estate, you can lean on Randy and you can lean on us, and now we have you're good at what you do. So you walk in as a total package, as a solution to help these people, and you do a great job, which is paramount, because you would have done a couple deals, but you wouldn't have kept getting the repeat and referral business like you're doing now, unless you didn't do a stellar job for them. So,
yeah, and
that
now
builds
it's just word of mouth. I mean, I'm on Coast Guard spouses pages, and when people are moving to the area, so many people just tag me in the posts now, where it's just, the business just comes naturally.
But it doesn't just come to you. Like, you're out there reminding people that you're in business. I mean, I see your post.
Oh,
Often.
yeah, I do a lot of Coast Guard fundraisers, or military fundraisers in general. I mean, I definitely do put myself out there.
And every listing you talk about, every sale you talk about, and you're posting out real estate content. What's your social strategy been like now? Because for you, and we talked about this a lot at our sales meeting this morning, this whole business is just being thought about at that millisecond when a move comes into their life, right? So all the social game is making sure that you're in their world of their thoughts, right? You just got to creeping into their thoughts. So when that moment of time that they come up with a real estate thought, your face pops into their mind. So that's what your social is doing, is creeping into their feed and stay at top of mind. What are you doing? Like, what's your conscious strategy to be remembered?
I know you and I have had the conversation a lot. I'm just personally not a huge fan of social media. I understand it for the business aspect, but I'm a really private person in general. And for me, I'm not going to go on Facebook and post what I ate today or what I did today. It's not like that. It's more, I've learned now when I'm, I have a sale or a buy, to put it on Facebook just so people can see, hey, I'm working. Here's another Coast Guard move. Here's another military move. So that's more of what it is for me now. Even if you look at my social media, there's really not a whole lot of personal things about me. It's more just work related.
But I think that works, right? Yeah, I think that works. I mean, honestly, and I mean this, this is what I do for a living. And if I didn't, I would probably never post, right? Like even me, right? Like I don't post a whole lot about my family, my kids. It's just not my thing. But for work, I understand the power of social media and what it can do from a brand perspective, especially when you're consistent. And that's the biggest thing. Just be consistent with whatever that strategy is. And that's why it's working for you. That's why you're able to get the referral business from it, because even though you're not sitting there posting random content every day, you are because you have consistent business, you're able to still post consistently about that business, which then it just creates this nice little cycle for you. Now, for new agents who have no business coming in, that strategy is not going to work because they have nothing to post about then, right? But for you, you've figured out, hey, I've got these deals. Here's where they're coming from. Now I just need to keep reminding people by just posting, hey, I did another deal. Hey, this couple moved here. Hey, I'm so happy for these guys. That's it, right? And you don't really have to do anything else to do that. So you've gotten to a point in your business where that really works. And that is, for lack of a better term, that's strategy. That is a strategy when it comes to social. And you're doing it with a purpose, and that works. So I wouldn't discount what you're doing, because what you're doing is very effective.
I've learned to use it how it makes me comfortable, which is, like I said, primarily work. So if you do go on my page, you will see under contract, sold, new listing, yada, yada, yada. But it's kind of funny because now most of my business does come from Facebook, from Coast Guard wives or Coast Guard spouses or, anything. Most of my business is coming in from Facebook.
Yeah, but I think to harp on that real quick, what's very important is the niche focus on the platform allows you to get away with that, right? If you came to me and said, yeah, I want more business from Facebook, I would tell you, well, you got to go broader then, right? You can't sit there and have a focus on Coast Guards and expect to get business from another group or another sector or strangers, right? That's not going to work. Your strategy, though, is not to build brand with strangers and people that are outside of that. Your strategy is, hey, I just need the attention of Coast Guard families because that's who I know, that's who I can really help, and that's who I can bring value to. Forget everyone else. If they happen to get tagged in something or referred to me, great, but I'm not targeting them. I'm not going after them. I'm specifically focused. This post, this piece of content, this charity that we're doing, it is for spouses and Coast Guard members, right? And when you have that type of focus, the strategy really works, right? But what I see so often is I really want Coast Guard families, but then you're posting pictures of sunsets all day and never really engaging in that group, right? And that doesn't work either. So, I think you're going the right way. I really do.
I agree. And I really think the niching is so critical. But as the title of this is Happy Agent Podcast, and I think the important part about this one is, Courtney, this is creating a pretty nice lifestyle for you now.
It's really, truly who I enjoy working with. I mean, not to discredit anything else, but VA is really my niche.
Which is, and I applaud that. This is one of the reasons I wanted to make sure that we spotlighted you on this podcast, is because you know what you want. You know the type of people you like to work with. You know what makes you happy. And you know how much time you want to put into this business and how much time you want to put in with that guy and then with your dog and with the beach and having your lifestyle, right? But that's the point. But you know that. Other people haven't taken the time to say, look, 1 or 2, 3 deals a month, I'm good with that. And I'm getting enough of that from my Coast Guard referrals. I don't need to go into for sale by owners in downtown St. Pete. You could, but you don't have to because you're self-aware enough to know what makes you happy. And that's what I think, to Puma's point, way too many people don't take the time to actually realize what that is. And it's way easier than most people are making it out to be, right? I mean, Randy, you just changed your lifestyle from hanging out on the beach to moving to a beautiful home off the beach because it made you happy, right?
Right. Oh, by all means. And that's probably the biggest thing is you have to be happy. You can chase this stuff and just kind of get dealt rejections, but it's like, between the USAA and the Cardises and that, which the company feeds us quite a few, and then our past client referrals. I mean, every time we say, okay, we're going to go out and door knock this week, and we'll get flyers put together and get ready to go, and the phone rings. And, you've got a new listing, or you've got somebody's friend who wants to buy a house, or, you've got 3 people that want to sell. And so it's like every time we get ready, something happens, we get distracted, and we're busy again. And, so it's that roller coaster that we try to say that we're not going to allow to happen. But when you're busy, you're not going to go do it. Like we got people out. What's that?
You get interrupted by what you're looking for.
Exactly. And it's, our focus has to be on the people we're working with. And, we have to have that work-life balance. When Courtney says, I'm going to the beach, she's going to the beach. When Courtney's dad's coming up, she's doing an open house. So, but you have to have that balance. And I mean, it can be a very rewarding business, provided you don't let yourself get burnt out on it.
But you've laid that foundation, though, Randy. Right? I mean, that's the thing too. For people watching, they have that luxury, right? Because Randy put in the work in the beginning, Courtney put in the work in the beginning, and they've laid the foundation now that allows them to not necessarily have to go door knock or be so busy that they can't go door knock for new business because they've built the foundation of this existing business. But notice in the very beginning of the podcast, what did Randy have to do to start laying that foundation? He had to go outside of his comfort zone and go door knock, right? It wasn't his favorite thing to do. It's no one's favorite thing to do. It especially wasn't his favorite thing to do because it's not who he is, right? And he said he had some rejection, which I'm dying to know what that worst interaction you've ever had was. I really want to know what happened there. But regardless, you went through all of that and you dealt with it and you laid the foundation that now allows you the luxury of not having to do that at all or as much as you did before. So that just takes time though. So everyone watching, understand that you can have that too. You have to build the foundation.
And it ebbs and flows, right? Because this is now. And then Randy at any moment in time says, you know what? I think I want something on the beach again. And he says, I'm going to go buy a little investment condo on the beach that, you know, you guys can just go hang out in. And you say, what's it going to take? I need 60 grand to go buy one of them. Okay. And now he knows how to throttle it down, throttle it hard to go get an extra 60 grand next quarter if he wants to. And Courtney, the same thing. Right now, she's got great abilities and time to do the things she wants to do. But if she said, you know what, I think it's time for a bigger house, and I'd like to actually save up for one hell of a once-in-a-lifetime vacation and treat my husband and my family and fly everybody out to Italy and just pay for everything for a 10-day just extravaganza, and it's going to cost me 40 grand to do it. And then she'll go throttle down to go pull out the 40 grand. And that might not come from the Coastie Wife Group, right? That what she's got is a consistent flow of lifestyle maintenance. But what is important is to know what it takes. So this quarter might be the quarter you say, watch this, right? And then, but here's the issue. Courtney and Randy are splitting everything. So when they get to a point, if Randy says, I want an extra 60 grand to get a beach condo, Courtney better be willing to pull that same rope, right? And if Courtney says, Randy, I need an extra 60 grand, Randy needs to say, game on, let's go. Because if Randy's in coast, chill out, drink beer and smoke stuff on the green egg, golf ball smacking mode, and Courtney's in $60,000 a month mode, that's going to be a problem. You guys see that? So that's why I think you guys have good communication back and forth. And then you maybe next quarter's the quarter you say, let's go full on Q3 and let's back off on Q4. You want to do it? What else do you want to do? What if we did this? What's your next goal? What's your next lifestyle? What's your next big ass smile? Or you say, you know what? We are totally chilled, happy with where we are. I'm happy with my bank account. I'm happy with my bank account. Let's keep it going, right? And that's the fun part that you guys get to kind of back. How do you guys handle that back and forth with visions, alignment of visions?
I would say it's pretty much like that. You know, when we decide we're going to work, we work. And when we decide we're going to coast, we coast. You know, and sometimes the business itself does that to us. It's not necessarily a decision of, okay, we're going to work our butts off. One of our phones rings and it's time to work our butts off. I mean, right now we've got, between the two of us, 11 deals going, I think, between listings and sales. We haven't been together for a while. So, you know, so I mean, this is one of those times where, you know, things moving pretty quick. And
yep.
Pre-COVID, you know, when we first started out, we had business carried us in. So we were able to take that month and, you know, spend it at home and not really worry about the business so much because we knew we had deals that were closing. Some of them, you know, had issues, but, you know, I think the best thing is, you know, over the past 3 years, you know, either being just Courtney and I or Bob, Courtney and I, you know, we've touched, God, $45 million in real estate, which has been huge. I mean, it's an experience for each of us. And, you know, no two deals are the same. So, you know, we average between 45 and 50 deals a year, and each one's got its own headaches. So that's where, you know, that's where I'd say the business kind of controls us a little bit more. And that's wrong for us. We shouldn't let that happen. But
it's working. That's right. The point. It's working and it makes you happy. So let it roll. Right. My point on that was, if you wanted to crank it up, you guys know how to do it, which is fun. Right. But if it's providing what it is and it makes you happy, keep it rolling. So Courtney, to you, what advice? You're 3 years in the business now, right? Even though you've been in the periphery of it for a while, but your own business right now. Mm-hmm. What advice do you have for those who are newer than you, that are going through some issues and doubting themselves or just struggling? Or what advice do you have for agents to kind of to get to the other side?
I think first and foremost, I think you have to be authentic. I think you have to know who your client is, and you can't be the $3 million beach condo, but then be the investor, 100,000 downtown St. Pete, want to flip a house. It's really, who is your client? Who do you personally want to work with? I think a lot comes back to the person of just being authentic to yourself.
Very common theme.
Yep. That's great. Randy, what's your advice to those who are getting, how many years now, Randy, are we in this?
5.
5 years in. So he's crossed the 5-year mark. That's a big time flies. So what advice do you have for those who haven't really figured it out yet?
Go to work. I mean, straight up, I get up in the morning and I'm one of the few that actually go to the office. But, my previous career, I got up every day and I went to work. I'm capable of working from home, but there's a lot of shiny things there. Fix drywall, I'll paint this room, I'll do this. So I try to make sure I get up and I go to work. My organization's here. My wife understands if I'm going to write an offer, I'm going to come to the office and write it. I only live a mile and a half away, which makes it pretty easy. I will do it from home, but, generally my files and everything are here. So I get up, I go to work, and, that's what kind of keeps me driven. And, there's times I'll take off in the afternoon and maybe go hit golf balls or, go home, play in the garden or do something. But, I try to make sure every day starts with going to work. So.
I think that's great advice. Well, I think this is great insight for those who are watching. And because I know we hear it a lot, should I team, should I not team? What's the pros and cons? And there are pros and cons. And I think if you're honest with each other, there's at some point in time, if Courtney comes in with a deal that you never knew about, some little inkling inside of Courtney is like, right? If Randy comes in with a deal and Courtney's never seen it, Randy at some point says, you could say not, but at some point in your mind, you have, wait a second, that was a $400,000 deal. They never even met the person. May not vocalize it, but it's there. But I think enough of them come from Courtney and enough of them come from Randy that balances out. So when you're thinking about teaming, the biggest thing that we've ever seen that destroys them is inequity, a concept of inequity, right? People thinking that it doesn't work, it's not fair. That guy didn't do anything, that girl didn't do anything. Why did she get that check? Once or twice or three times is fine, but when it starts 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times, it starts to drive an issue. So as long as you guys are each pulling your weight and understand your roles, all right, and the strengths and the weaknesses to see that the whole picture comes together bigger than it would have been apart, it works. But I think it requires communication. I think it requires being realistic about the points that we're talking about here right now that are real life thoughts and being able to voice them, talk about them, and work through them. So those who are thinking about partnering up, think about the pros and the cons because there are both. And I think Randy would tell you that it was a great thing for his career. It still will continue. And I think you guys work great. I think you might be defy the odds for us because I think it works really well for your careers right now, both of you. So,
well, talking about each deal, Courtney's been blessed lately that she's had some deals that have been really, really smooth. She was on a stretch there that probably about 3 months worth where
you went to Randy.
Close a deal. Because everything kept going wrong. And so, that's switched over. I've kind of taken the messes here for a while. We just went through one that took us roughly 2.5 months to close. We were out of contract as much as we were in contract. COVID didn't help. It was a lot of headaches. And I mean, it was one of those, everybody has one. And in my 5 years, this is the one that made me say, I'm done. Go weld, I'll go sell steel, I'll do something. You take it personal and it starts to eat you up. My wife was definitely tired of hearing about it. Courtney would sit back and laugh and go, my deal closed. And here I am just praying that mine stays in contract. So, when you have that kind of back and forth where, you can kid each other because your deal's going good, your deal's going to shit, it helps a lot. And, we help each other as much as we can on the deals. And, it's a good sounding board. Are we going to argue? Are we going to say, no, it's not worth that? You're only going to pay this. We talk about it and it's end result is what the client wants to have happen.
That's great. Craig Beggins, parting thoughts of wisdom from you.
I think 2 episodes we talked about lately, 3 actually we've done. Agents that are happy now and productive started out teaming together. So I think there's some takeaways there. So if you're watching this and your business is not where it needs to be, maybe you need that accountability partner. And we're not talking about a formal team, type of thing, but an accountability partner that nudges you when you need a little bit of help. And it's okay to start out that way, and then you can deviate if you need to be. So don't be afraid to team up with somebody to get you started. And if you like it, stay that way.
Good point.
I think when you're first getting into a team, you really can't be like greedy either. Like that's mine, that's theirs. I feel like you have to look at it, you know, like that's hours. Because if you go into it being greedy, it's not going to work.
Very true. Very true. Mike Puma, parting words for you from you,
Yeah,
sir.
I think my parting words are the ultimate thing that I took out of this, and I've taken out of the last few, is we talk a lot about creating a framework of success, and that really does start with complete, authentic self-awareness. And once you can do that, once you really understand who you are, and not just your skill set, but like truly who you are and what you want, then you can really decide what path you're going to go down. And that might make sense to have an accountability partner. That might make sense to join a team. That might make sense to completely stay on your own because you know you're not going to listen to anyone else, right? So that just sense of self-awareness, if you start there, then you can really start to create a framework of success for yourself. And so you can see here that clearly is what happened with both of you. And in my opinion, that has to happen with every single person. And if you do that, you will put yourself in the right framework to have success. If you don't, then you're going to struggle. And to your point, I think that's where teams do fall apart, because I think there's a lot of people who go into teams because they look at it and say, you know what? I could kind of just go in and mooch off the other two, and I don't have to put in the work. I don't have to go door knock. I'll let them get it, and I'll let them feed me, because I'm okay if I can make 30 grand a year, 40 grand a year. I don't need to make 300. So if I can just, get a little bit of their deals, that'll make sense, because they don't want to put in the work, right? And that mentality right there is why a majority of teams fail. So if you go into it saying, you know what, I really just want the support of someone else, or I'm really good at talking to people, but I hate analytics, or I'm really analytical, but I hate talking to people, that self-awareness will allow you to succeed. So if you're watching this, my piece of advice, go have a conversation with yourself. And that can be an uncomfortable thing to have sometimes, but that's where I would start.
Great. Well, I can just tell you that I really enjoy having you guys on the team. Very proud to have you as part of our company, as our family. And I'm glad Indiana brought you down here, Randy, and Jersey brought you down here, Courtney, with the Coast Guard family. So thank you for being part of our team and our family. And I think you provided some great insight for those who are watching. And just be happy, guys. Figure it out. You guys are a great testament. Go smack some balls around, drink some beer. Courtney, go get some work.
Going to the beach.
There you go. Go to the beach. Enjoy it. All right, guys, thank you for their time. And it's been great. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thanks.